with another interview. We have Tadhana Joy, co-creator of the upcoming setting, Barkadan. Please fix my pronunciation. City of Noise and Plenty, which is a survival horror and high fantasy TTRPG setting, and it's coming to Kickstarter. Well, it is on Kickstarter right now. Hi, hello, welcome.
Hi. It's nice to be here. I'm so excited to be here. And
Well, for those who don't know who you are and haven't been introduced to you before and your mini projects, please introduce yourself.
Hi, my name's Tadhana Joy, and I'm a queer Filipino TTRPG content creator and performer and writer and game writer. At the moment, I am the co-creator of, well, not at the moment. I am the co-creator of Barkadan, City of Noise and Plenty, a Filipino-inspired TTRPG setting. And I'm also the facilitator for the Secret Ways of Love and Magic, which is a Regency era Good Society campaign that we run on Pocket Dragon Pub. It's very nice. It's magic and the magic of romance and love. Oh my God, beautiful. But also real magic. And so those are the two big projects I'm heading at the moment. And I am also just in general a game writer and just, what's it called? Sorry, my brain just broke. Who am I?
Yes.
I'm also just a regular fiction and literary writer and a literary critiquer. So that is all my things.
Oh,
it's funny to introduce myself to people, and I'm like, I'm just a person who likes to write.
I'm just a person that likes to put words together and make sentences. That's it.
Exactly.
So how did you and your collaborators come up with the setting?
Yeah. So my co-creator is Jesse T. William, no S, and he has been in the. He has been a professional GM for like 4+ years now. And when I met him like 4 years ago or 2 years ago, I started out as a player in his campaign, and he has something called like a living world. So he has so many different settings that are all inspired by different cultures. One was like Greek inspired, like high fantasy Greek inspired, high fantasy French. Very interesting. I played in that one for like 2 years, and I was like, what? But in his living world, I was a player, and then I became a collaborator because he approached me and he was like, hey, I really love your storytelling, your instincts, and I would love to like collaborate with you on like a setting. And at first I started like playing in different worlds that he already had and like contributing to that as a writer. And then he asked me like, what do you want to do? Like, if, in your highest dreams of dreams in this kind of context, what would you like to make? And I was like, a Filipino inspired setting. I've never had a setting where I saw my traditions and my cultures and like my iconography of my culture in any setting before. And I was like, well, I want to, if I haven't seen it, I want to make it. That's like kind of the writer's thing. And so we started, that was our first introduction to kind of creating the setting, was like, what did I want to make? And he really facilitated that. At the time, I was really new to TTRPGs and game writing in general. And so it was great to have a collaborator who had already done like 100, 200 games with people of all sorts of personalities. And so he gave a lot of guidance in like how to structure stories for this medium. Because at the time, I'd only done fiction writing and creative writing. So that was our origin. And then I was like, I couldn't just be like Filipino inspired. Filipino is like, if you take culture that's so big, it's almost impossible to like narrow it down. And so I had to be very personal with how the origins of the setting came out. And actually, a lot of the inspiration comes from stories my grandma told me. So for the first origin, the first thing we ever made in this setting is not for anything in Barkadan at the, like, specifically, it's not the demons, it's not the ghosts, it's not the mages being corrupt. It's this tiny piece of the world, which is like, there's something called a coconut monkey that basically, it's a monkey that turns into a coconut when it gets scared, like a hushed coconut, and then it kind of rolls around and like is a little bit of a pest and a nuisance in the city. But that comes from a very personal story that my grandmother, and I'm not going to get into it, but my grandmother told me a story when I was very young about her father who thought a coconut was following him in the middle of the night in the jungle of the Philippines. And he was so scared he peed himself. And also fell down a ditch. But anyways, so though it's very personal origins, but they just gets expounded once you put like in a fictional setting and you start fictionalizing it. It starts adding to itself the layers. So that's the origins of it.
I love that. I love that there's like this personal aspect to it, and you're wanting to highlight things that you've heard or like experienced yourself in the
Mm-hmm.
setting. I I think it's amazing. What kind of systems? Because I mean, is it just D&D, or are you looking at other systems that could be that this setting could go into?
Actually, this setting is designed for the a TTRPG. This setting is designed for a TTRPG system that Jesse T. William has made. So it's called Legacy and Saga, and once you get Barkadan, you will always get Legacy and Saga. So Legacy and Saga was designed by Jesse T. William, and it's basically a system with narrative in mind. And it's as the players interact with the world, they have to manage their material resources, their reputation, physical and mental well being throughout, like sickness, injury, grief. All of these are represented by mechanics in Legacy and Saga that help players build the story of their character while providing meaningful consequences to their actions and choices. So, for Barkadan itself, any GM can take the text of this setting and use it as a base for their campaign and whatever system they use, even though it's designed for Legacy and Saga. But Legacy and Saga just has like the ability to get the most out of the setting itself. But because Legacy and Saga is like still relatively new, um, I have played it personally. I think it's lovely for like those who are really into storytelling and making sure the mechanics support that instead of the you're instead of going the other way around. Like sometimes in D&D, for example, mechanics go first and then you add the story later. It's the different way around in Legacy and Saga. So I think it is this Barkadan specifically is translatable to other settings, but Legacy and Saga, and also any other story based, like story forward systems that are a little bit more rules light, can work with this setting. I don't know. I don't have specific ones in my brain at the moment. It's funny because like I think like Fate Core actually could work really well
Yeah.
with this
Yeah, I
because
could
it's
see
so
that.
versatile. Um,
Or like Daggerheart would probably be a
yeah.
good system, since
Hmm.
it's very story first, and
Hmm.
then mechanics kind of second. So
Yeah. And it's
yeah.
like, and it's a game, it's a setting that really encourages collaboration. So if there's high amount of collaboration between GM and players, any system that does that also could work well.
Oh yeah, for sure, for
Hmm.
sure.
Yeah.
Well, you're kind of displaying some of the art for from the setting book, and I kind of have to, we have to give big ups. We have to give big props because it's so easy to fall down the use of AI.
Hmm.
But y'all explicitly say no AI, no
Yeah.
matter what, whether it's the art, the music, um, and I mean, what kind of art are y'all showcasing in this book?
We have like a lot of different kinds of art. One of them, we have a big landscape art because Barkadan is set as a huge city. It's a huge maze-like city. And so Clara Efren, who was our amazing artist, was able to take that kind of prompt and like blow it up. We actually, we in some of our content, we've already featured that big landscape, which is like a big wall with faces and then like mazes in like mazes behind the walls. And so there's some of those as well. Like some big landscapes. We also have like things like this that like very spooky. There's also a lot of demons in this book. So there's a lot of like a little bit of body, oh, not a little bit. There is body horror adjacent things in the book. Um, and there's also what I like personally love is there's a lot of smaller illustrations that are of the bestiary. So there's like flora and fauna that's inspired by the Philippines that our artist has created to showcase like, oh, what are the kind of things that you can encounter here? Or what kind of plants and animals can you use as resources to keep yourself alive? It's very visual and actually, and interesting fact that I just want to shout out to Clara. Some a lot of the things like the bestiary and the race or the races that are found in this book and the items were first drawn in physical mediums. So sketching, if you see images of the races, that started out as like sketch and in paper and pencil, and then colored pencil. And the bestiary started out as watercolors, and then they were just scanned and then edited a little bit, but they started out as watercolors. Yeah, yeah. So there's a lot of we're even playing with like mediums in this art book.
Oh, I love this. I love this. I want a whole art book.
I I'm sure Clara could make it.
That's a different project. That's a different
Oh yeah,
project.
yeah. We got to get through this one first.
Yeah.
But yeah, Clara is included, and of course, like a lot of our bigger landscapes are digital, and but even those, there's like focuses on like one person, and then like this whole setting afterwards. So we have like there's also like big page spreads, like double page spreads, similar to like this one's actually one of our double spreads that just doesn't have text. And so there's a lot of different styles and a lot of different formats of art that we've put into this book.
Oh, I love that. And I mean, like I said before, you'll have also included music. You have a fully composed song that you featured in the trailer that is also done by Clara. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, how did y'all decide on the soundtrack? Like, what were some of the pieces of either music that's been done before, or like musical instruments from the Philippines that inspired the music?
Yeah. So, from what I have gotten from Clara, the music is heavily inspired by kinutang. Kinlutang. That's an Indonesian word, so forgive me. It's based, or actually, no, I think it's actually that's a Filipino word, and yet, it's basically a high pitched percussion ensemble that is found in indigenous Muslim tribes in the Philippines, specifically the region of Mindanao. But because Clara is Indonesian, she found that she recognized a lot of similarities of kin kinlutang in her culture's version of that because they're so like geographically they're very close to each other, and so culturally they have a lot of mixing. Um, and in Indonesia, it's called gamelan. Oh, I'm so sorry. Somebody put the text here. But for this project, because it's Filipino inspired and not Filipino historically accurate, the notes that are used are more modern esque. So there's descending half notes to give it a horror vibe and when we need it, and ascending tones when we want to have more hopeful vibes. So Clara's put indigenous, like more of like indigenous instruments mixing with like modern kind of conventions of music, especially in the horror genre, because that's what we're playing with. But you can't have horror without hope. So
Oh, for sure, for
yeah.
sure,
So
for
yeah,
sure. Oh, I love that. I love the fact that he used like indigenous and like the music, but like that's I love that so much.
yeah.
That oh, are we getting any of the music as like a download for GMs to use, or is that just like for something from the
We
trailer?
we originally made it just for like Clara just made it for the trailer, but that's a great idea. We might
I
do that.
don't. Nobody let me talk. Everybody, don't let me give ideas to people who are trying to kickstart projects. Please,
It could
just
be a
tell me to
stretch
shut up.
goal. It could be
Yeah,
a stretch goal.
stretch
We have
goal.
it. We have it already.
Hey, yeah, stretch goal. Um, so, I mean, you mentioned the story that your grandmother told, but are there any other stories that are included in this that you were told as a like either like as a child or later on in life?
I think so. Ironically, a lot of the stories that have really heavily influenced Barkadan come from modern. storytelling, not necessarily like mythology. Although that's like influences here because our Filipino culture has some scary monsters, and I wanted to include
I've
that
seen like some of the versions of vampires that y'all
as
have, and
well.
I was like,
Yeah,
nope.
there's like a half lady who eats babies. There's a lot of eating babies actually, in Filipino culture and our monsters. We're not gonna think too much about that, but a lot of the way that Barkadan is set up, the fact that it's like a very dangerous city, it's a very urbanized city, everybody's like so packed close to each other. That comes directly from stories that my parents would tell me about like how dangerous the Philippines is. I'm a Filipino American. Actually I was born there, but I was raised in the States. So I heard about the Philippines and then I did eventually like live in the Philippines for a little bit. But my parents would always caution me like if you go out in the Philippines, like keep your stuff close to you, don't wear your jewelry out or they'll steal you. Oh, especially they've also because I have an American accent when I speak Tagalog, they're like maybe don't speak too much, they might kidnap you. It's a third world country. Like I very much like I don't forget that, and so that being told all those stories of like, oh, sorry, another example, tangential, of like in America we would like it's not uncommon to find fruit trees in people's yards. That's a pretty common thing. But every time we would pass one when I was young, my dad would go, "If this was in the Philippines, all those would be gone." And that was like, oh, there's like an element of, especially on my father's side, an element of poverty and element of like survival that he had to go through that I know I didn't have to go through. But I remember those stories because it's important for me to remember one, who my father is, and but also where my family comes from. And I never forgot that. I never forgot the hardship that my family went through. And so Barkadan is the fact that it's so dangerous, the fact that we've made survival horror and turned it about resources and management of resources and management of reputation and making sure that, it's survival. It's you just living your day-to-day life trying to get by. That comes directly from like my parents being like, I didn't know if I had food to eat the next day. I had one pair of shoes for like the last 10 years, you know? And I value those stories because I am a very privileged person right now and I don't want to forget that. But also there is an element of like I wanted to honor my family with this setting. And they're older so they might never play the setting, but that doesn't mean it's any less meaningful.
Oh, that's that is so beautiful to hear that you're like this is to honor like and to to showcase stories that aren't necessarily shown in a TTRPG setting necessarily. Like
Mm-hmm.
not a lot of people want to, hearken on that, but I mean, if we're especially not to get too much into the bleed aspect of it, but if we're trying to make grounded characters, we have to be cognizant of everything that's going on and the world that we're playing in, but also just the world that we're in.
Yeah.
Um, but so you told me this before we recorded, but this is y'all's first project that you're
Yes.
fundraising. What I mean, what has it looked like on the back end of trying to prep for this and like trying to learn all the ins and outs of doing a fundraiser for a project?
I think one of the things that we've really learned is how much people are actually really open to a Filipino inspired setting. People are really excited for it. We've gotten great reception on Instagram and TikTok. We've had 1 million views on our Kickstarter trailer, which is fabulous and amazing. My co-creator, because the ad is on his account, he's gotten like 2,000 followers because of it, and on Instagram. And I've also gotten like an uptick on my follower count from just this project alone. And we've also gotten a lot of comments and a lot of interactions. It's not just likes and follows. It's people like genuinely being like, I think this is really cool. When is this coming out? I've never seen this before. I would like to see more. So on one side, there's like, wow, unanticipated reception for all of us on our team, but also we all three of us are very like insular people. We're very like writer people. We're like we don't love. I mean, I like being on camera. But my other two creators, although they do also like to create things, camera is not necessarily their choice of medium, and so it's been hard to like, oh, what do we make what do we make content about? I don't know. I'm getting more into like the act of just sharing, and that's because honestly that's I'm trying to make myself think like, oh, creation is just content is just talking to someone and trying to connect with them. And so that's the hardest part, I think, like marketing ourselves. I think that's honestly for anyone who's a writer probably the hardest part, because you spend so much time writing alone that when it comes to like releasing it, you're like, I have to remember how to be around other people. Whoops. That's
That's
probably
so
the biggest learning curve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the marketing, I feel like that's the one thing that a lot of people whenever they fundraise for the first time or fundraise in general, it's the marketing part, and especially if you don't have that background of like marketing or like a team to help you, you're kind of like
Yeah.
and on the TikTok thing, that's how I found out about this project. As soon as I saw the the trailer or like the breakdown
Mm-hmm.
of the how the
Music.
music was made, and I was like, oh, this is amazing. And I shared it because I have a friend that I have a friend that I play TTRPGs with that lives in the Philippines. And I'm like, and she's always looking for stuff that's like Filipino or Filipino inspired. And so like anytime I see something, I'm like, have you seen this? Have you seen this? Have you seen this? And she's like, no. Oh, okay. Love this. Okay. Love, yeah. So
That's good.
I it's one of those things. I'm very much like a, as soon as I see something, I
There.
share it with people.
That's very sweet.
Bam. Um, what, so why are y'all doing a fundraising campaign as opposed to just like building it and then putting
Just
it on like
putting out.
DM's Guild or GM's Guild or
I
just,
I think for one, um, it's to make something that's really high quality on the first round. We obviously Clar like I mean look at what Clar's made, guys. um I think we really want to make something really high quality, and it's to be able to support all the people that we are as being a part of this team, not just Clara and me and Jesse as writers, but also like at some point we're gonna need a graphic designer, we're gonna need perhaps even like a cultural consultant, because I there's so many things that I don't know about in the Philippines that I would like to like make sure that everything's kosher and good. And so like in order to make something super high quality in the first round, the Kickstarter is the most feasible way to do it. It's also a really great way to test market interest in a project, right? So Kickstarter, if it flops, it means the market doesn't want it. If it goes through, that means this is what the market needs and the market wants. There's so many TTRPGs out nowadays. There's so many creative projects. They're so wonderful, and but the truth is that like not everything needs to be made at the same time. And so this is a great way for us as creators to see like, okay, are we in the right direction? Are we doing things that that the market wants and the players want to see? So yeah, that's why we're doing a fundraiser.
hell yeah, hell yeah. What, I mean, what is the goal? What is, I mean, not just like the goal of the, the
Yeah,
fundraiser, but like what is the monetary goal? What
the
are you all
monetary
hoping to raise?
the monetary goal is I think 12,700 USD. And that is to pay Clara for the work that she's already done. It's also to pay me and Jesse for our time that we've spent creating this, just to recuperate some, not like losses or anything, but to recuperate the time that we've put into it. This setting has been like 3 years in the making. From like inception of this setting to like what you see right now, it's been 3 to 4 years. So we would love to see some return on that, so we can go ahead and make more. We can make more content. Yes, for Barkadan, but for also our other projects that we do separately on our own. And then like in the big, big, beautiful scale, we do want to like Barkadan is just one city in a larger Filipino setting. It's called the Indari Kingdoms, and eventually one day, if we like, if crazy things happen in the universe, we could have a full like with multiple like we could have a full setting with multiple cities, similar to the way we've done with Barkadan, but just like more of that. Not all of them are going to be horror. Some of them are going to be nicer and a little less demonic. But so the idea of like having a big Filipino setting with like a lot to work with, um, is also like one of our like very big goals. But yeah.
Oh, that sounds great. I'm very excited about that. I love the fact that y'all are not trying to do the whole world at once. You're
Oh
doing just you're like, let's see how a city goes and then we'll go from there.
yeah.
You're better than me. I'm world building with a I'm starting with a continent. I'm like, maybe I should just stick to a city. Maybe that's a better
I
idea.
I also think that because of just the way that Barkadan is set up in
Mhm.
terms of content, and like also we've talked about like what this is inspired by. It's so personal that so it makes sense to for us and for the theme of the setting, which is basically like keep your family alive.
Yeah.
For that, if that's the goal, then that's the end, the point of the campaign. Oftentimes for Barkadan, having it be just so small, like within a city wide, it just gives it a lot more room to just like one have a lot more to play with and details for players to pick up, but also it knits everyone together a lot faster and a lot closer, which is like for campaigns, especially shorter ones, knitting players together fast is the hardest part. Like
Mhm.
yeah, so yeah.
Yeah. Trying to get a group together just even for a one shot, just to be like, how do you gel
Hmm.
is
Why do you care about each other?
why do you care? What can people expect when backing the campaign?
So, when backing the company, we have three tiers at the moment. So we have what's it called? Chismosa, which is gossiper in Tagalog. Chismosa, our first tier, is basically just going to be the getting the Legacy and Saga demo. That's the TTRPG setting that is paired best with Barkadan. That's I think $5, and it basically is just that, and then you get to like be part of our Discord where we talk about Barkadan and I talk about writing about culture in TTRPGs, and Jesse talks about storytelling in TTRPGs. It's just like it's like, oh, I would love to see what happens more. But if you're just like, want to be in the background listening to gossip, but not yet ready to commit, that's your tier. And then we have a mage tier, which is the main tier. It's $25. It's the teacher. It's Barkadan, City of Noise and Plenty, Legacy and Legacy and Saga, and that's it. If that's all you want, like the basic package, don't need anything else, that's you. That's you, baby. And also, you get everything from our the previous one. So you get access to our Discord and access to us as creators. And then our last one is Demonio, which is Demon in Tagalog. It's $75, and you get, of course, everything you got from the previous tiers, which is access to Discord, access to Legacy and Saga, the system, and then obviously Barkadan as a TTRPG setting, the book. But you also get printable GM tools. You get high quality images of the wallpapers that we are going to be making for. Because we have all of the setting stuff anyway, so we're just going to make them into wallpapers. But also, I mean, that's oh, and you also get like in printable GM tools. You also get in terms of that, you get little coins that you can give to your players, like you can print out, give it to them, because part of the setting has a lot of like bartering with people. And you can barter for money and also you pay people for favors. That's also one thing that you can do. You'll also get cards, printable cards for all of the items that you encounter in the game. So let's say you there is a certain fruit that you can get from an island that will you can make into a potion. You'll have that on a card, and then when the player gets it or gathers it, you can give it to the player as a GM and say like that's what you have, just to keep track of things. It's really great and interactable, and Clara has made really nice designs of it already. So yeah.
What is? I mean, with some of the printable stuff, uh, what does the timeline look like for the book and like the like whenever
So
the campaign closes?
yeah, so our release date is 6 months from now. 6 months from now, so February of 2027. So we plan to do 2 months of finalizing our 2 months of finalizing our first draft, and then we'll do 2 months of essentially redrafting, but also people are going to start playtesting in like November, December, where we will do revisions periodically once we get feedback from people, and then and the last 2 months are going to be finalizing our second drafts and our basically our final draft, and then February is release. We actually, the reason why we can do this is because we've done so much back work already to get here. Like we're not just writing from scratch. We've been writing again for like 2 years, 2 to 3 years now. So it's all about finalizing the text itself, and then also playtesting it and making sure that like we've made good enough text for people to understand it.
So, what are some of the stretch goals that people can expect if we get when not if when you get past your goal?
So, our stretch goals are currently a fuller demon bestiary, including higher power, which is a thing that in the Legacy and Saga that you can get. It's like a skill tree that you can achieve. Because Legacy and Saga, I forgot to mention, is basically based off of skill trees. And you can pick different paths, but you can also pick just like commit to one. So there's a fuller demon bestiary, more monsters. There's also more encounters that we'll design, and we'll put into the like a different book. Like it's basically a DLC. And then also we'll be designing other divine creatures and bestiaries. There aren't just demons about, but we just wanted to focus on the demons. There's other stuff too. There's also going to be a craft book expansion, because there's so many things that you can create in Barkadan. And while we love people being creative with it, sometimes you just need a little help. Sometimes you need something to base it off of, and we totally understand that. So if as a stretch goal, we would love to make one of those, like a bigger craft expansion book. And then it's funny you mentioned this before. Clara can make a full Legacy and Saga. Sorry, no. One, we're probably gonna have Clara put together all of the art into like one big book, like a Barkadan design book. Hopefully, maybe with like little notes. Who knows? But then Legacy and Saga, the game system itself, can have its full art distributed onto it. Like the game system, we can make the game system into like a full book with art and graphics and all that. And then we'll have like a shiny new TTRPG system that's made for storytellers, essentially. So yeah, that's our stretch goals.
Oh, I love that so much. Oh, I can't. Hello, y'all. Let's make this happen. Uh, art book. That's all I have to say. Tell the people where they can find the Kickstarter, how long the campaign's going to be going on, and then where to find you and Jesse.
All right. So you can find our Kickstarter in the links of our bios. You can also just search up Barkadan Kickstarter, and it should show up as the first thing on Google. You can find it there. It's also, again, on links of all our bios. You can find the Kickstarter is going to be starting from July 15th to August 15th, so 1 month. And you can find me, Jesse, and Clara on Instagram and TikTok. Me and Jesse on TikTok as well. So yeah, that's us.
Amazing, amazing. Well, thank you so much for sitting down and talking to me. I will see you at Gen Con.
Yes, you will. Oh
Yeah.
my god.
I'll see you at Gen Con. If you want to find out more, about Barkadan, check out the links down in the description below. Go back this wonderful campaign. Hello, make this happen, everyone. We need more more games and more settings with different perspectives in this world. Hello, just period at the end. With that being said, thank you all so much, and I will see y'all on the internet. Goodbye.